How many times have you, tried to overhaul your entire diet overnight only to find yourself just completely overwhelmed by all the conflicting rules?
Oh, I mean, it's so common. You know that exact feeling, right?
Yeah, it's Sunday night and you've completely cleared out your pantry. You're throwing away all this food you actually enjoy.
Right, the classic Sunday purge.
Exactly. And then you go to the supermarket and you
Mhm.
buy a fridge full of these expensive, exotic greens that you don't even know how to pronounce half of them.
And you tell yourself, this is it. I'm a completely new person starting Monday morning.
Right. No sugar, no carbs, just pure discipline. But then reality hits. By Wednesday afternoon, you're exhausted, your brain is totally foggy, and you're starving.
Yeah, and you're just staring down the office vending machine like it holds the secrets to the universe.
It's the worst feeling. So welcome to today's deep dive, where we are finally cutting through all that noise.
It's such a universal experience, honestly. In behavioral psychology, there's actually a term for this. It's related to the false hope syndrome.
False hope syndrome. That sounds pretty bleak.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
We treat our health, and specifically our neurochemistry, like a light switch.
Yeah.
Like we can just flip it from bad to perfect
Uh-huh.
in a single second.
Right, completely ignoring the actual physiological realities of how habits are formed.
Exactly. And the tragic part is, when that inevitable burnout happens on Wednesday afternoon, we blame our own willpower.
Oh, we totally internalize it as a personal failure.
Yeah, instead of blaming the impossible, like biochemically rigid systems, we try to force on ourselves overnight.
Which is exactly why today's source material is just so refreshing. We are looking at a highly practical, honestly fascinating video presentation from Osman.
Ah, yes. Known online as the blind Muslim yogi.
Right. And his credentials are wild because they bridge so many different worlds. He's a bioenergy healer, a yoga and meditation teacher, and an entrepreneur.
And not just a casual teacher either. I mean, he's been practicing healing and advanced yoga for, what, 50 years?
50 years. Yeah. And he attained his first samadhi experience by the age of 19, which is just incredible.
It really is. And what stands out to me is how he synthesizes all these disciplines. He brings this perspective that merges ancient wisdom with very modern, practical biochemical realities.
Yeah, and he's not operating in the clouds. He's speaking directly to people living busy, high-stress lives. And there's a really important piece of context here, too.
Oh, about his eyesight.
Yeah, he lost his sight permanently in May of 2023. So if you watch his videos and hear him describing things with these really vivid visual details, it's because he had normal eyesight for his entire life prior to that.
Right, so his frame of reference is highly visual, even though he's now blind.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack Osman's simplified, naturalistic approach to nutrition. We're going to explore his dietary frameworks, his emphasis on whole foods, and his step-by-step guide to adapting the body's biology.
Because it really is about adapting the biology, not just restricting calories.
Right. So let's unpack this. Osman isn't just giving us a grocery list, He's giving us a highly sustainable philosophy for eating.
Sustainable being the absolute key word there. He provides a blueprint that acknowledges human nature instead of going to war with it.
Yeah. But before he even gets into the granular details of, what to eat, he establishes this philosophical boundary that I think is missing from, 90% of wellness content today.
Oh, you mean his disclaimer about medical responsibility?
Yes. He explicitly states right at the top that his natural methods and his lifestyle habits, they're meant to improve health or manage challenges, but they are never a replacement for medical treatment.
Never. He stresses that so heavily.
Right. He urges everyone to consult a licensed medical professional before making major dietary changes. He's basically saying, please do not just blindly self-medicate with YouTube advice.
The maturity of that disclaimer is huge.
Oh.
If you look at the wellness space online, it's just saturated with these absolute cure-all claims.
Oh, totally. Drink this one herb and cure your autoimmune disease.
Exactly. Influencers making wild promises. But Osman deliberately steps out of that dangerous echo chamber. He anchors his holistic approach in medical reality.
And he introduces this concept to back it up that I found completely paradigm shifting. He says that a food that is incredibly healthy for the general public could actually act as a literal poison for someone with a specific medical condition.
That is such a crucial point. It forces us to confront the reality of bio-individuality.
Yeah, because we love binary labels, right? Like, this food is a superfood and that food is toxic.
But human biology is way too complex for that. Let's look at spinach as an example.
Okay, yeah. Spinach is universally praised. It's packed with iron, vitamins, fiber.
Right. For a metabolically healthy person, it's great. But spinach also contains very high levels of compounds called oxalates.
And for someone with kidney issues, that's a massive red flag, isn't it?
It can be devastating. If you're genetically predisposed to calcium oxalate kidney stones, eating massive amounts of spinach isn't making you healthier. Those oxalates bind to calcium in your kidneys and form sharp crystals.
Ugh, that sounds incredibly painful.
It is. So in that specific biological environment, the quote-unquote superfood is actively exacerbating a pathology.
Another great example is bananas. The universal advice for muscle cramps is always, oh, just eat a banana for the potassium.
Right, which is true for most people.
But if someone has advanced chronic kidney disease, their kidneys lose the ability to filter excess potassium out of the blood. So if they eat a bunch of bananas, the potassium builds up, which is a condition called hyperkalemia.
And that can legitimately cause a fatal heart arrhythmia.
Exactly. The banana isn't bad. The internal environment just can't process it.
That is the perfect illustration of bio-individuality. The food is just a collection of chemical compounds. Your body's internal environment dictates how those compounds will interact with your system.
I was thinking about how to visualize this. It's kind of like computer software. Think of a healthy food as this really advanced, powerful, new software program.
Okay, I like this.
You know the software is good, but if you try to install it onto an operating system that has a specific bug or is running outdated drivers, the software is going to crash the whole computer.
Right, the software isn't the problem, the incompatibility is.
Yeah. So Osman is basically saying, before you install this new nutritional software, get a doctor to run a diagnostic on your specific operating system.
That is a highly accurate way to look at it. And he's very clear about his own services, too. Like, he's a master-level bioenergy healer specializing in critical care and terminal illnesses.
Right, using telepathic healing and principles of quantum entanglement, which is fascinating.
It is. But even with his incredibly high success rate over 50 years, he still insists his services are complementary. They are there to enhance the medical field, not replace it.
Exactly. And because of that intense, rigorous practice, he was practicing up to 18 hours a day at one point and still does 8 to 10 hours a day now. His consultations aren't inexpensive.
Quality at that level rarely is.
Yeah.
But he gives so much away for free.
Yeah, he has a ton of free content on his YouTube channel and a free 5-minute yoga and meditation program you can download at his website, yogawellness786.com.
It's great that he balances the premium energy healing with accessible free resources. So once you've cleared those system diagnostics with your doctor, Osman moves into the actual execution of the diet.
Right, and his first major target is processed foods, but his approach here is just so grounded.
He completely won me over with this part. He doesn't look at the camera and say, throw away every single piece of junk food you love starting today.
No, he explicitly acknowledges that it's practically impossible for the average person to just permanently remove their favorite foods.
Right, so he advocates for a dramatic reduction instead.
I want to dig into the neuroscience of why that strategy reduction over elimination is fundamentally more successful.
Let's do it. When we look at behavioral psychology and addiction models, strict cold turkey elimination diets have a staggering failure rate.
Because when you tell the human brain it can never have a specific stimulus again, you immediately trigger the state of intense deprivation.
It's the classic forbidden fruit effect.
Yeah.
If you tell yourself right now, I am never allowed to eat a chocolate chip cookie again, suddenly cookies are all you can think about.
Oh, totally. I elevate the value of the cookie simply because I can't have it.
You do, but it goes way beyond just psychology. It's a deeply physiological issue. Highly processed foods are chemically engineered in labs to hit what food scientists call the bliss point.
The bliss point. That sounds so sinister.
It kind of is. It's this mathematically perfect ratio of salt, sugar, and fat designed to trigger a massive dopamine release in your brain's reward centers.
So our brains treat these foods basically the same way they treat a highly addictive substance.
Very much so. Your dopamine receptors actually downregulate. They become less sensitive because they're constantly being flooded by these massive hits.
Wow. So if you cut that off abruptly on a Sunday night, your brain effectively goes into withdrawal.
Exactly. Your dopamine levels plummet. That's why you feel foggy, irritable, and exhausted by Wednesday. Your brain is screaming for its usual chemical spike.
That makes so much sense. So, by advocating for a dramatic reduction rather than total elimination, Osman is using a scientifically sound method for neural adaptation.
Yes, you're slowly dialing down the dopamine hits, giving your receptors time to reset without triggering a massive panic response and a subsequent binge.
It's the difference between slamming on the emergency brake on the highway and just gently easing your foot off the gas pedal. You still slow down, but you don't cause a 10-car pileup.
Great analogy. Easing off the gas allows the biological systems to adapt without trauma. So as we ease off the refined foods, Osman presents a framework for what we should eat instead.
And he focuses on redefining what natural really means, starting with upgrading our everyday staples.
Upgrading is the perfect word. He isn't asking you to completely change the structure of your meals. You don't have to stop eating carbs entirely.
Right, he just wants you to upgrade the quality, like swapping refined white bread for rye, seed, or whole wheat bread, or swapping white rice for brown rice.
It sounds like standard advice, but let's break down the mechanism. What does the word refined actually mean when it comes to a grain?
Yeah, why does our body hate it so much?
To understand that, we have to look at the anatomy of a grain in its natural state. A whole grain has three main components: the bran, the germ, and the endosperm.
Okay, the bran, the germ, and the endosperm.
Right. The bran is the tough outer skin, packed with fiber, B vitamins, and trace minerals. Inside that is the germ, the reproductive core of the seed full of antioxidants and healthy fats.
And the endosperm.
That's the large, starchy center designed to provide energy for the germ to sprout.
So nature basically packaged the energy, the starch, with the exact tools the body needs to process it safely, the fiber and the vitamins.
Precisely. But the industrial food system hates the bran and the germ. The healthy fats can go rancid on a shelf, and the fibrous bran makes the grain harder to chew and slower to cook.
So refining physically strips away the bran and the germ. They literally throw away the fiber, the fatty acids, and the vitamins.
And you're left with just the naked endosperm, which is essentially pure, unadulterated, starchy carbohydrate.
And how does the human body react when it's hit with that naked starch?
It's terrifying speed. Because there's no fiber to slow down digestion, enzymes immediately convert that starch into pure glucose. It floods your bloodstream all at once.
Causing a massive blood sugar spike.
Right. Your pancreas panics, pumps out a huge surge of insulin to clear the toxic levels of sugar, which then drives your blood sugar down rapidly.
The classic crash, making you lethargic and instantly hungry for more simple carbs. It's an exhausting metabolic roller coaster.
But by swapping back to the whole natural grain, you bring the bran and germ back. The fiber acts like a physical net, slowing down the digestive process.
So the glucose enters at a slow, steady trickle, giving you sustained energy for hours without the pancreatic panic attack.
Exactly. It fundamentally changes how your body interacts with the food. Now, Osman applies this same rule to animal-based foods, too.
Yeah, he acknowledges people will still eat meat, but sets strict parameters, like buying fresh instead of processed or frozen. He gives the example of a whole fresh fish, instead of fish from a cardboard box or a tin can.
Right, let's talk about why that boxed version is so much worse. A fish is a fish, supposedly.
But the processing involves massive amounts of sodium and preservatives, right?
Oh, heavily. Nitrates, nitrites. And heavily processed high-heat cooked meats often contain advanced glycation end products, or AGGs.
AGGs, I've heard of those.
They're harmful compounds formed when protein or fat combine with sugar in the bloodstream. They're linked to oxidative stress and cellular aging. A fresh, whole fish cooked gently is basically a single-ingredient, highly bioavailable food.
He also says to reduce red meat overall. And for chicken, remove the skin and fat, sticking to lean cuts like the breast to reduce saturated fats.
Which is very sensible, pragmatic advice.
But then, this is my favorite part, Osman gets incredibly nuanced about eggs. He has a highly specific protocol. He doesn't just say, eat eggs.
No, it's a fascinating masterclass in applied nutritional science. He starts with sourcing. He explicitly recommends omega-3 enriched pasture-raised eggs.
Because standard factory-farmed eggs don't naturally have high omega-3s, right?
Exactly. It's about bioaccumulation. The chickens producing these eggs are fed a diet supplemented with flax seeds or marine algae, which are rich in alpha-linolenic acid.
So we upgrade the fuel we put into the chicken, which upgrades the fuel the chicken puts into the egg for us.
The chicken's digestive system is literally a bioreactor. It takes the plant-based omega-3s and deposits them into the yolk. And omega-3s are crucial for cell membranes, brain function, and reducing inflammation.
By sourcing them this way, Osman is teaching you how to turn a basic protein into a deeply functional therapeutic food.
But sourcing is only half the battle. The most critical part of his egg protocol is his massive warning regarding raw eggs.
Yes. He specifically calls out the fitness and muscle-building cultures that consume unpasteurized raw eggs. He says it's absolutely harmful due to bacteria, and if you must drink them raw, they have to be pasteurized.
The historical context of the raw egg thing is so interesting. In mid-century physical culture, there was this deep myth that raw eggs were the ultimate muscle fuel.
Oh, yeah, like Sylvester Stallone in Rocky.
Yeah,
Cracking 5 raw eggs into a glass at 4 in the morning.
exactly. It created this cultural association between raw eggs and elite physical performance.
It looked so hardcore, so everyone just assumed it was scientifically optimal, but it's fundamentally flawed.
Flawed on multiple scientific levels. First is safety. Regular unpasteurized raw eggs carry a high risk of salmonella.
Which doesn't just cause a mild stomachache.
No, it causes severe food poisoning, extreme dehydration. From an athletic standpoint, getting salmonella will destroy muscle mass far faster than any protein shake could build it.
Right, which is why Osman insists on pasteurization, heating the eggs just enough to kill the bacteria without cooking the protein.
Yes. But let's challenge the nutritional aspect. Is it actually true that the body builds less muscle from raw eggs compared to cooked ones?
Wait, really? Is that true?
It is entirely true. It comes down to protein denaturation and bioavailability.
Yeah.
The human digestive system actually absorbs the protein from cooked eggs significantly better.
By how much?
Clinical studies show we absorb roughly 90 to 94% of the protein from a cooked egg, but only about 50 to 60% from a raw egg.
You're kidding. So a bodybuilder drinking a shake with 30 grams of raw egg protein is just flushing 15 grams of it away.
Yep. Why? Because of the physical structure of the proteins. In a raw state, egg proteins are complex, tightly folded structures or balled up.
Okay.
When you apply heat and cook the egg white, the heat energy breaks those weak bonds. The proteins unfold, which is called denaturation.
And once they're stretched out, our digestive enzymes can actually get to them.
Exactly. Pepsin in the stomach can easily access the peptide bonds and break them down into amino acids.
So cooking essentially pre-digests the structural armor of the protein. But there's another issue with raw egg whites too, right? Something about blocking vitamin?
Yes, a critical detail. Raw egg whites contain a glycoprotein called avidin. And avidin has an incredibly high binding affinity for biotin, which is vitamin B7.
Which we need for metabolism, skin, and hair health.
Right. When you consume raw egg whites, the avidin binds tightly to the biotin in your digestive tract, preventing your body from absorbing it.
So eating massive amounts of raw eggs can literally induce a biotin deficiency.
Yes. Cooking the egg white completely destroys the avidin, neutralizing the threat.
The science just completely destroys the raw egg myth. But Osman doesn't just say, cook your eggs. He says if you aren't drinking pasteurized ones, you should poach or boil them, but you must leave the yolk underdone.
This is where his protocol reaches surgical precision. We just established you want the egg white fully cooked to maximize protein absorption and destroy avidin. But the egg yolk is a completely different chemical environment. It contains almost all the essential micronutrients: choline, vitamin D, vitamin K, and antioxidants like lutein.
And those nutrients don't react well to being blasted with heat in a frying pan, I assume.
Precisely. Excessive direct heat degrades them. Furthermore, the yolk contains cholesterol. When cholesterol is subjected to high heat in the presence of oxygen, like when you scramble or hard fry an egg, it can undergo oxidation.
Oxidized cholesterol sounds bad.
It's terrible for cardiovascular health. It's a known contributor to endothelial dysfunction and arterial plaque buildup.
So by poaching it or soft boiling it, where the white is firm but the yolk is still runny and insulated inside, you are optimizing the thermodynamics of the egg.
You're applying just enough heat to the outside to make the protein safe and absorbable, while keeping the core cool enough to protect the micronutrients.
That isn't just cooking. That is applied biochemistry.
It truly is. He treats the egg with the respect a complex biological structure deserves.
Now, even with these incredible guidelines for animal foods, Osman suggests that they should make up the minority of your plate. He recommends a specific 70-30 split.
Yes, 70% plant-based, 30% animal-sourced. Though he notes that transitioning to a 100% whole foods plant-based diet is the best possible diet for human health.
Again, showing his pragmatism. He isn't demanding perfection on day one.
Why is that 70-30 split so effective?
Hmm.
Think about someone transitioning from a standard Western diet, which is hyper-processed and heavy in animal products. Asking them to go fully plant-based overnight is an insurmountable behavioral leap.
It's like asking someone who only drives an automatic sedan to suddenly pilot a manual race car. The machinery is totally different.
Exactly. The 70-30 ratio is a powerful transitional bridge. Biologically, it ensures the vast majority of your diet, the vital fiber, phytonutrients, and context carbs, comes from plants. This immediately alters the gut microbiome and lowers inflammation.
But by keeping that 30% animal source, the diet stays culturally familiar and highly satiating. It removes the anxiety of absolute restriction.
Yes, while still delivering profound health benefits.
So if 70% of our plate is plants, what exactly makes up that 70%? Osman categorizes this into 6 distinct nutritional families.
The 6 pillars of plant-based eating.
Right, we have the berry family, cruciferous vegetables, leafy greens, the citrus family, legumes and lentils, and whole grains and cereals.
This specific categorization isn't arbitrary. He hasn't just listed random things. Combined, they form a complete nutritional matrix that covers our physiological requirements.
Let me push back on that for a second. If we view our diet like an investment portfolio, why is it mandatory to diversify across these 6 specific classes? If spinach is so great, why can't I just eat massive bowls of spinach every day and skip the berries?
To use your portfolio analogy, if you put your entire life savings into one single tech stock, no matter how brilliantly it's performing, you're incredibly vulnerable.
Because if the tech sector takes a hit, I lose everything.
Right. Your body requires a vastly diverse array of micronutrients to catalyze millions of specialized reactions every day. Spinach has iron and vitamin K, but it lacks the antioxidants in berries or the unique sulfur compounds in broccoli. A monolithic diet leaves gaping holes in your metabolic pathways.
Okay, let's break down these asset classes. First, the berry family. Why do they get their own distinct category?
Berries are pharmacological powerhouses. They contain high concentrations of polyphenols called anthocyanins. These are the pigments that make blueberries blue and raspberries red.
What do they do?
They're potent antioxidants that can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. They actively neutralize free radicals, unstable molecules that damage DNA. Regular consumption of berries is heavily linked to reduced neuroinflammation and protection against cognitive decline.
So berries are our defense system against brain fog and cellular aging. What about the second group, cruciferous vegetables? Broccoli, cauliflower, kale, they have that really distinct kind of sulfurous smell.
That smell is exactly why they're so vital. They contain unique sulfur-containing compounds called glucosinolates. When you chew or crush these vegetables, you physically break the plant cell walls.
Okay, what happens then?
It releases an enzyme called myrosinase. The myrosinase interacts with the glucosinolates and converts them into a potent phytochemical called sulforaphane.
Sulforaphane, and what does that do?
It's one of those heavily researched compounds in nutritional science. It acts as a signaling molecule that activates a genetic pathway in our cells called NRF2. This basically tells your DNA to start producing massive amounts of your body's own internal antioxidants and detox enzymes.
That is mind-blowing. By chewing broccoli, you're sending a chemical text message to your DNA to upgrade the liver's detox software.
Exactly. So we've got brain defense, we've got cellular detox. The third pillar is leafy greens.
Like the spinach and Swiss chard Osman highlights.
Right. They provide a dense matrix of minerals like magnesium and iron, but their most critical function relates to cardiovascular performance. Dark leafy greens are incredibly rich in dietary nitrates.
Wait, aren't nitrates those bad preservatives in hot dogs that we're supposed to avoid?
Crucial distinction. Synthetic sodium nitrite in processed meats can convert into carcinogenic nitrosamines, but naturally occurring dietary nitrates in vegetables are processed entirely differently.
Oh, interesting. How so?
When you eat spinach, bacteria in your mouth and enzymes in your body convert those nitrates into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It signals the smooth muscle lining your blood vessels to relax and widen.
Which massively improves blood flow and lowers blood pressure.
Yes, and increases oxygen delivery to your tissues.
So leafy greens are basically natural blood pressure medication, and Osman brilliantly pairs that with the fourth family, the citrus family, oranges, lemons, limes. Is this just for vitamin C so we don't get scurvy?
It involves vitamin C, ascorbic acid, but the real magic is the chemical synergy when combined with the leafy greens. The iron in plant foods is called non-heme iron. Its chemical structure makes it difficult for humans to absorb compared to the heme iron in red meat.
Uh,
However, if you consume ascorbic acid at the exact same time as non-heme iron, an incredible reaction occurs.
how does the lemon unlock the spinach?
The ascorbic acid physically alters the valence state of the iron. It reduces the non-heme iron from a ferric state down to a ferrous state. This ferrous state perfectly fits into a specific transport protein in your gut lining.
Wow.
By simply squeezing fresh lemon juice over your spinach salad, the vitamin C acts as a biochemical key that increases iron absorption by up to 300%.
See, this is why nutrition is fascinating. You're not just eating a salad, you're conducting a synchronized biochemical experiment. Squeezing lemon on spinach is an evolutionary hack.
It really is. Now, the final two pillars. Number 5 is legumes and lentils, an amazing protein source. And number 6 is whole grains and cereals.
These form the macronutritional foundation, right?
Yes, legumes provide the essential amino acids for muscle repair and immune synthesis. And the whole grains provide complex carbohydrates encased in fiber.
Which ferments slowly in the lower intestine, giving us sustained metabolic energy across the entire day.
Exactly. Together, these 6 pillars form a highly robust architecture for long-term health.
It's worth noting Osman's personal alignment here. He mentions he's on a 100% whole foods, plant-based, or raw diet by his own choice. I feel like that lends a massive amount of authenticity to the 70-30 compromise.
It demonstrates deep empathy as a teacher. He knows what the peak of the mountain looks like, but he's tossing down a rope to help us get halfway up first.
Now, while those 6 categories sound amazing in theory, Osman knows that category number 5, legumes and lentils, causes a major roadblock for so many people.
This is perhaps the most crucial practical advice in the presentation. The universal complaint about legumes is that they cause severe gas, bloating, and GI distress.
Yeah, he doesn't shy away from that at all. He bluntly says people avoid them because they become uncomfortable. But his explanation is so reassuring. He just says, it's because you are not used to it in the beginning.
Let's dive into the biology of that. Why does a bowl of black beans cause so much chaos?
Yeah, what's happening down there?
We have to look at the gut microbiome. Inside our large intestine, we host trillions of microscopic bacteria. Legumes contain specific complex carbs called oligosaccharides, along with massive amounts of fiber.
And human beings actually lack the genetic hardware to digest those specific compounds on our own, right?
Correct. We don't produce the enzyme alpha-galactosidase required to break those bonds. So these fibers pass intact into the large intestine where they meet your gut bacteria.
And the bacteria do have the enzymes.
Yes, and they treat it as an all-you-can-eat buffet. They consume the fiber through fermentation.
And just like fermenting beer produces bubbles, fermenting beans in the colon produces gas.
Exactly. Now, if you spent the last decade eating a highly processed Western diet devoid of complex fiber, you simply do not have a robust population of the specific bacterial strains needed to efficiently process these complex carbohydrates.
Let me use an analogy here. Imagine your gut bacteria are a crew of construction workers. If you've been eating a low-fiber diet, you basically have a skeleton crew of maybe 3 guys leaning on shovels.
I love this.
Suddenly, you decide to be healthy, and you eat a massive bowl of lentils. You just dumped 10 tons of bricks onto a 3-man crew. They are completely overwhelmed. The fermentation process goes into chaotic overdrive, gases build up rapidly, and you get severe bloating.
That is a phenomenal visualization. The workforce is profoundly understaffed. And Osman's solution is a masterstroke. He doesn't say, push through the pain. He says, start small. Include just a few tablespoons in your food to allow your body to adapt.
And over a period of a few days to a few weeks, you gradually increase it. It's the exact same principle as progressive overload in the gym.
Exactly. You wouldn't walk in on day 1 and try to bench press 200 pounds. You'd tear a muscle.
Right. Osman is telling us we have to literally strength train our gut microbiome.
By introducing just 2 or 3 tablespoons, you send a manageable chemical signal to your gut. The few bacteria you do have will consume it, and because they now have a steady food supply, they multiply. Over a few weeks, your 3-man crew becomes a highly efficient team of 100 workers.
And the bloating completely subsides.
Because the digestion process has become rapid and efficient.
And the ultimate goal he sets is substantial. He says we should aim to increase to around 1 to 1.5 cups of cooked legumes every single day. He explicitly states that hitting this volume is amazing for your heart health. Why does that threshold trigger such a huge cardiovascular benefit?
It comes down to the volume of soluble fiber. Your liver produces bile acids, made from cholesterol to digest fats. Usually, these bile acids are reabsorbed in the lower intestine and recycled back to the liver.
So the body just keeps reusing the same cholesterol.
Right. But when you consume a cup and a half of legumes, you introduce a massive matrix of viscous soluble fiber. This fiber forms a thick gel that physically binds to those cholesterol-rich bile acids in the intestine.
Trapping them.
Yes, because the fiber is indigestible, it drags those bile acids out of your body through your digestive waste.
So they can't be recycled, which means the liver has to pull more cholesterol out of your bloodstream to make a fresh batch.
Exactly. This directly, mechanically lowers your circulating LDL cholesterol. It is one of the most powerful non-pharmaceutical interventions for protecting the cardiovascular system.
I love how this perfectly reflects Osman's overarching theme of patience. He's saying, your body is an incredible machine, but you have to respect its timeline. It's such an empowering shift.
It completely moves you away from the despair of my body is broken to my body is an adaptable ecosystem that just needs time to train.
So let's look at the final piece of the puzzle. You've done the work, you've swapped your staples, trained your gut microbiome, but we're still human. How do you actually make all this natural food taste exciting without ruining it with a bottle of highly processed, sugary sauce?
Right. Diet is as much a psychological and culinary challenge as it is a nutritional one. If the food is intensely bland, the habit won't stick. Osman identifies raw onions, specifically red onions, as an absolute game changer for naturally elevating the flavor profile of meals.
He suggests slicing them raw over your food. And honestly, taking a bite of raw red onion is intense, but he's incredibly specific about using them raw. Why shouldn't we cook them?
Onions belong to the allium family. Their unique biochemistry centers around volatile sulfur compounds. When an onion is intact, it contains an inert compound called alane, and in a separate cellular compartment, an enzyme called alanase.
Let me guess, when you slice it, they mix.
Precisely. You rupture the cell walls, bringing them together. This rapidly creates a new, highly reactive compound called allicin.
Is allicin the stuff that makes our eyes water?
Yes, that volatile gas is a plant defense mechanism, but for us, allicin is incredibly therapeutic. It has broad-spectrum antimicrobial properties, promotes vasodilation, and is a powerful anti-inflammatory. Furthermore, red onions are one of the most concentrated sources of quercetin.
Quercetin. That became really popular recently in immunology discussions.
Very much so. It's a powerful flavonoid antioxidant, and uniquely, it acts as a zinc ionophore. This means it physically helps transport zinc across cell membranes into our cells, where zinc is crucial for stopping viral replication. So raw red onions are a literal immunological shield.
Wow, but why not cook them?
Both allicin and quercetin are highly sensitive to thermal degradation. The moment you toss those slices into a hot frying pan, you denature the alanase enzyme entirely, halting the production of allicin.
So you're physically destroying the very chemical structures that make them a superfood.
Exactly. By consuming them raw, exactly as Osman suggests, you maximize the medicinal benefit.
But Osman understands sensory limits. He knows people won't just chew on burning raw onions, so he provides this brilliant culinary hack. He says to garnish the raw onions with a little bit of black pepper or, crucially, a little bit of vinegar.
This is where culinary intelligence intersects with nutritional chemistry. The harsh, burning bite comes from the sharp sulfur compounds. When you introduce an acid, like acetic acid in vinegar, it alters the pH of the onion surface.
Does the acid destroy the nutrients like heat does?
No, and that is the brilliance of it. The acetic acid mellows out and stabilizes those sulfur compounds without denaturing them. It chemically takes the aggressive bite out of the onion while preserving the quercetin.
Leaving you with a crisp, bright, deeply tangy flavor profile. You created a massive natural flavor enhancer without relying on sugar-heavy dressings.
Exactly.
But let's be realistic for a second. Are we really just chopping up onions and vinegar, throwing them on a bowl of legumes, and pretending it tastes better than a loaded cheeseburger?
That is a very valid skepticism. If you eat a cheeseburger today and a bowl of vinegar-soaked onions and lentils tomorrow, the lentils will taste flat. But that highlights a physiological shift in our sensory experience.
What do you mean?
When you consume a standard diet, heavy and highly processed, hyperpalatable foods, your taste buds are quite literally numbed. The neuroreceptors on your tongue that detect sweetness and salinity are constantly bombarded with extreme, unnatural levels of sodium and high fructose corn syrup.
To the point where they just shut down.
They downregulate to protect your brain from sensory overload. They become significantly less sensitive. This is why, to someone who drinks 3 cans of soda a day, a fresh strawberry doesn't taste sweet at all. It tastes like water.
Their baseline for sweetness has been artificially jacked up. So to them, an onion just tastes like harsh pain, and a lentil tastes like dirt.
Right, so the journey Osman is taking us on is an active, physical rehabilitation of our palate. As you consistently, systematically reduce the onslaught of processed chemicals, your taste buds begin to recover.
The receptors upregulate.
Yes, they become highly sensitive again.
It's like taking off heavy noise-canceling headphones after a loud rock concert. At first, you can't hear anything, but as your ears adjust, you can suddenly hear the subtle, intricate notes of a single acoustic guitar.
That is an exquisite analogy. After a few weeks of this naturalistic framework, the subtle flavors of real food become vibrantly clear. The inherent sweetness of a bell pepper, the earthiness of a lentil, the refreshing crunch of the vinegar-soaked red onion, they become profoundly satisfying.
Osman is fundamentally teaching us how to tune our sensory equipment back to the frequencies of nature. And he even teases at the end of the video that he has discovered amazing spices that add incredible health value, which he plans to share in future content.
Which perfectly aligns with his philosophy. Optimal health is an ongoing, evolving journey of self-discovery.
Well, this has been an incredibly enlightening deep dive. Let's do a quick synthesis. We started by acknowledging the critical reality of bio-individuality, meaning we must always consult a medical professional, because one person's superfood can literally be another person's biological poison.
From there, we explored the neurochemical power of gradually reducing processed foods, allowing our dopamine receptors to recover. We examined the massive difference between a refined grain and a whole grain.
We dove into animal sourcing, avoiding the AGEs in processed meats, and the incredibly nuanced egg protocol. We completely debunked the Rocky Balboa raw egg myth, learning that the human body literally cannot absorb half the protein until heat denatures the structures and neutralizes the biotin-stealing avidin.
Yet we learned the surgical precision of poaching the egg to protect the heat-sensitive micronutrients residing in the yolk. We explored the 70-30 plant-to-animal ratio as a compassionate bridge.
We unpacked the biochemical armor of the 6 essential plant families. We confronted the legume dilemma, learning how to progressively strength train our gut bacteria with just a few tablespoons of lentils a day, building up to that heart-protecting 1.5 cups.
And finally, we discovered the pharmacological magic of preserving allicin in raw red onions, using acetic acid to mellow the bite while rehabilitating our taste buds.
It is a masterclass in treating the human body with respect. And as a reminder, Osman's credentials as an energy healer and yoga teacher inform this whole holistic approach. You can find more resources, contact information, and his free 5-minute yoga program at his website, yogawellness786.com. He has a ton of free content on YouTube and a Patreon for paid daily live video lessons and one-on-one consultations.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final concept to mull over. Throughout his entire presentation, Osman teaches us that our bodies are incredibly dynamically adaptable.
Even our microscopic bacterial ecosystem is not fixed.
Exactly. It can be physically trained, remodeled, and upgraded over a few short weeks. It removes the victimhood from dieting entirely.
It's so hopeful.
It is. So ask yourself, what healthy habit, what nutritious food have you abandoned in the past simply because your biological systems weren't used to it on day one? What might happen to your life and your longevity if you stopped treating your health as a binary light switch and instead began treating your biology as a highly intelligent, adaptable muscle one that is just waiting to be patiently and compassionately trained?